Welcome to the 2019 Ohioana Book Festival. I am here with Charlton Trujillo, and she is an author, filmmaker, and co-founder of Never Counted Out.
You got it.
It took me twice, but I got it.
We're there.
So her latest book is Fat Angie, Rebel Girl, which is a sequel to the award-winning original, Fat Angie, right there.
Right there.
So
book one, book two.
Book two. All right. So welcome to Craft.
I'm elated to be here.
Great. Well, we're very happy to have you here and see you at the Ohioana Book Festival because I know you are on some part of a 22 city book tour.
Yeah, I am actually, which is phenomenal. So
how's that going?
It's basically 2 months and a few days on the road. And so I'm about a month and a few days in. And it's fantastic because, traditionally a book tour is you go to a bookstore, right? And you sign the books and people hopefully buy them and take them away. But the kids I want to come in often don't come to the bookstore. So that's why the independent booksellers have been amazing. Like they've created all of this outreach so that when I stop in a town, yes, I'm doing the bookstore, but then maybe I'm going to a school, or maybe I'm going to juvenile detention, maybe I'm going to a homeless shelter, maybe I'm going to an after-school program, a library. And so they create all of that, and then I can have a bigger reach. And yeah, sure, I'm supposed to sell the book, but it's the idea that young people have a voice, and that's the piece that I'm invested in.
Cool.
So yeah.
Cool. All right. So that's all based on, I think, some of the topics that you talk about in Fat Angie and stuff like that. So tell me about the book, but let our viewers know.
Sure.
All about
Obviously book one won the American Library Association Award about a girl who gets bullied. Obviously, she's fat. Her name is Angie, right? Cat out of the bag. And, she has struggles at home. Her sister's missing in the Iraq War. It's a very public thing. And so Angie's trying to figure out how to be who she is without the person that she's closest to who mirrors back the best parts of herself, which were her sister. And so, with that, obviously without giving anything away, when we moved to book two, right, some things have happened. There's some stuff around grief. And, as we move forward also, I always kind of say it's basically the Breakfast Club on wheels. So if you've seen the Breakfast Club, you know that there's things that are hard, there's things that are lighter, and that's what this becomes. It is a story about grief. It is a story about stepping into your power, whether you're a young man or a young woman. In this case, she's a young woman, right? But the idea of it's called Rebel Girl Revolution, is it's not like she's just like standing up saying, oh, it's a girl's day, it's a party. It's about a revolution to step into whoever you are, and that's okay. Like whatever this is, right? Whatever this external piece is, that it's okay to be that. And so often, whether we're adults and especially when we're young people, all of this is so intense, right? Like how we get past, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too tall, you're too short. It's the two factor, right? And so the books are about how do we get past that? And in the meantime, we still have a good time, even though there's heavy topics, right? In the book one, there's basketball. In book two, we go on a road trip. And the best part is you got two books, and you can read them in either order. It's not Lord of the Rings, right? So there you go.
Okay. So tell me about your process on writing these two books. You said you can read them in any order, which means that you probably didn't have the J.K. Rowling, I have the arc for six books.
Sure.
How did they arise?
Really and truly, full honesty, the beautiful big girl here came from listening to Lenny Kravitz's Are You Gonna Go My Way? So I literally listened to this song in a snowy diner in Madison, Wisconsin, could see the whole first chapter of the book, grabbed a napkin, borrowed a pen from a waitress, and literally wrote that first chapter on that napkin.
What part of art? Now that may be
the guitar. When you hear that, anyone who doesn't know Lenny Kravitz always say, have you seen Hunger Games? You know Cinna, right? Yeah. But you know who Lenny Kravitz is.
I know who Lenny Kravitz is.
And when he plays that guitar, listen to that opening riff. Listen to the sound of the tension within the guitar. For me, you might hear it one way and create your story, right? But for me, my story was literally that first chapter, and I wrote that first chapter on the napkin. Even the way when you look at the book and you see how it's spaced out, it's the same spacing that was on the napkin. Like, it was amazing. And so music's really important to me, right? Music has always been fundamental to my life and to my creativity. But for that book in particular, art inspires art. And without listening to that song, there would literally be no Fat Angie. Now, I'm not J.K. Rowling. I didn't have this all planned out. So the idea was it's like, okay, this book, it wins these awards and it gets all these things. But most importantly, the kids are reading it and they're going, wow. And adults are reading it and going, I wish I had this book when I was a kid, right? So then it's like, well, and I look at it and I think, well, maybe Angie's story's not over. Maybe, because I travel a lot and I work a lot with at-risk youth. And I think maybe there's more to tell here. And that was the moment that was like, there is more to tell. And so it was important, though, that I not make Fat Angie Part 2 be Jaws 2 or, Godfather 3 or Free Willy 2, like all of these really painful sequels, right? Nobody wants to do that. And that's because what they do is they basically tell the same story, right? They're the same story in a different setting, right? The thing is that it wasn't just the setting that had to change. She had to grow. That's what we do. When I walk out of this room, something else is going to happen, right? And in her life, you close the pages of book 1. Something else happened 7 months later, and it's not the same story because she's growing in a new direction. So that's kind of how I looked at the process of this.
Okay.
And there's a book 3.
There's book 3.
Yes. Fat Angie Homecoming. Snap. Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah, I just like the snap. That's a very... so now you've got 3. Where are you on the 3rd one? Done?
I am literally on deadline that it was due like 3 weeks ago done.
Oh.
So I'm done. Like it has to be turned in. So yes. Yes.
That's an interesting position to be in, I imagine, as an author when you say, well, that deadline was 3 weeks ago.
Well, that's, we make our livings that way on
right.
deadlines. Yeah. So yes.
I remember reading about, I think it was Harold Robbins always missed deadlines, and they had to drag him back by not giving him any money to come back and finish the book.
I'm going to finish gladly. And thankfully there will not be a lot of dragging.
Right.
Because I'm so pumped. You can see that I'm excited. It's not just something for camera. It's because when people read the book, and not everybody's going to love my books. There is no one book for everyone, right? The ones that do, those kids that feel seen and they feel heard, and they feel like then wow, could I tell my story? That is it. That's it. That's why I can't wait to be done. Because now I get to tell a story about a girl who's fat, right? And she can be fat at the beginning and fat at the end and still be loved. And that's new. This was pre-Dumplin'. When Julie Murphy came on the scene with Dumplin', Angie had come before that, right? So it's the idea that we can get past, again, this idea of the shape, right? And that you can still be loved. And to some people, it's like, what? What is that about? Whatever that 2 factor is, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds great. You describe your book as my love letter to Ohio.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Oh, my God. Well, so the first one was set in a fictional town called Dry Falls, Ohio, which the second starts there. But then it's a road trip, right? And you're like, oh, snap, I have to know where that city really was. Really be sure, because then the copy editors are going to map where you go. And
but it's supposed to be a fictionalized version of it. Why are they going to map it?
They're going to map the road trips, real cities.
Okay.
It's real cities.
It's not fictional cities.
No.
You have to know how long
you can only have so
Falls to
much. This isn't
Cleveland.
fantasy. This is realistic YA fiction. You got to, at some point, have a real city.
Okay.
And so then... the things that, I went to college here for grad school. I lived in Cincinnati for a number of years. I've traveled all over the state for filmmaking and writing. I was like, of course I'm going to go on a road trip. Why not? Let's go see all of the strange and unusual things and the beautiful things about Ohio. So of course she's going to go to the world's largest basket, which we all go, what, really? But I say that in Texas, they're like, what's that? And they don't even know, right? But to you, you're like, it's just down the street.
Yes.
But the
Falling apart, the world's largest
basket,
but it's still
down the
there.
street.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's that thing that's like, okay, so it is my love letter to Ohio because she gets to go across this state that I love, and that I celebrate, that's been a part of my life. And she gets to have this journey of how do you recover from grief? How do you let go of certain things? How do you celebrate who you are? And she's doing it in the context of moving through the highways that we all know as, Ohioans, right? But it's a love letter to the state that says, it's a place for Angie to be her, to be all that is her. And it's that backdrop. I get to say we're in Fountain Square in Cincinnati. It's not just there, it's the idea of what it represents, right? All these places have a story and a history, just like her.
Does that give you then the opportunity to travel to these places and revisit them?
Oh, yeah.
So that you get okay.
Yeah, of course. That's the research piece of it. But also, I lived in Cincinnati for a number of years, so I know I know where these places are. And going to Athens for college, I knew where certain places were. And but yeah, there's absolutely research. But it also, the readers that don't know these things about Ohio, the strange and beautiful, right? They get to find out. A kid in Texas, in South Texas, isn't going to know about some of these things. Yeah, they can look it up on the internet, but now they can experience it within a story, right?
Sure.
And so it's like, let's get past all the things that we want to put into a political landscape of the world. Let's just talk about the story about a girl who's in a state and that this is where she feels like she can finally belong, right?
Very cool. So
Yeah.
you've got the 3 books. You've got what next after this? You've got 3 weeks for deadline,
Right.
and then everything's peachy.
No, I'm going to be on 2 other deadlines, all right? So it's never non-deadline. So I'm a filmmaker and I'm a writer, so I get to dip into both worlds. And so I have a new documentary that I'm sort of hashing out. I just had one that did a premiere in Cincinnati. Meanwhile, with the novels, Fat Angie Homecoming will come out. I have a 2-picture book deal with Candlewick Press, with author Pat Zietlow Miller, who was on the New York Times bestseller list. I was so excited for her, for Be Kind. And so we're writing together. So that's happening. And then I have I have 4 other novels in different stages and different places to go.
So you said the 2-picture deal. Was that
2-picture book deal.
These? Oh, they're based on
picture
these
book.
novels.
No.
Oh, picture book.
Picture book.
I thought you meant
No,
movie.
no,
That's
picture book.
how slow I am.
Pictures.
Okay,
Well, I was trying to
pictures
squeeze
in
it
a
in
book.
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going really fast.
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry. I thought when.
Aren't you grateful I don't drink caffeine at all?
Really?
This is just me.
This is just
Whoa!
this is me after several cups of coffee. So
Wow.
I'm on the other end.
Wow,
I can't
yeah.
Well, I thank you very much,
Absolutely.
E, for being here
Yeah.
today and talking about your books. And we'll look forward to the next one, which the soft release you said is.
It looks like maybe late 2020. That'll be Fat Angie Homecoming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.